Alright guys, this is Gaming with Alston, and today we're on part 4 of my futuristic mansion I'm building. I'm wondering what's inside that dome first. Just wondering. Wow. Wow. I was just curious, that's all. Now let's go towards building a mansion and cleaning up the area to make it look more grassy. I was just wondering what was inside that dome. That's why I wanted to go in that dome. I was just curious. Because we all tend to be curious at times. But sometimes I take it too far because of my autism. Reason why some people don't exercise. Some people are more sensitive to pain than others. If your brain cannot register pain at all, you should not be exercising. Because that could be a heart attack waiting to happen for some people. You know, for some people, exercise could literally be a heart attack waiting to happen. Whether it be because of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy or Brugada syndrome or other congenital genetic heart defects. The hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is a well-known example of a congenital heart defect. it's a pretty well-known example. It's kind of well-known. Like what happened to the YouTuber named Benjamin Breedlove. Like, one of the most well-known cases of a genetic heart defect is the case of Benjamin Breedlove. Not everyone that's obese ends up with heart disease. It's just a matter of where your body is storing the fat. That affects your risk of heart disease. Where your body stores the fat has the biggest factor behind heart disease progression. Mom? Or turn the volume down? And with the obesity epidemic on the rise around the world, we're being pressured to move more. Some people can't, because their lung capacity is already diminished from years of smoking. Their lung capacity has already diminished from years of smoking. For some people, they can't exercise. Sudden onset of fatigue can be a sign, might actually be a sign of something more serious than just depression. Sometimes depression can actually be a sign of something much more serious, especially a neurological disorder that can kill. Those who find exercise very hard include those with impaired lung function as a result of smoking. The irony is that some of people whose family members were already obese through many generations started with their wealthy ancestors, because back then, obesity was viewed as a sign of wealth. For some people, like back then, obesity was viewed as a sign of wealth. £400 for a child, like, if a child weighed 400 pounds, that kind of looks painful. Even the most basic activities would be very hard to do. Oh. Because if you want to be able to do those activities like cleaning and stuff like that, if you want to be able to do some of the activities, like cleaning, one thing you need is good lung function. It's not about how much fat you have that affects your lung function. It's about where your body is storing the fat, because, visceral fat can impair your lung function. Thus causing sleep apnea. When you breathe, you're actually expelling more CO2 than you're breathing in. That is because it's a waste product of cellular respiration. Gosh. Yes, I was thinking about Mikhail Shivlyakov. The guy who ends up with a nosebleed after a massive deadlift. My deadlift is nothing compared to Shivlyakov. He deadlifts so much that blood gushes out of his nose. Yeah, that guy. And he's not alone. He is not alone. There are people just like him. Some people believe that birth control causes more prenatal fatalities than abortion. Believing that people should have as many kids as possible. They believe that trying to make sure there are no prenatal fatalities involves Mating right after your child is born. Constantly mating until menopause. Stuff like that. That's how some people... That's how some mindsets are set up. Why is it that for some people, they need to be fat? Whether it be slowing their metabolisms down or causing the insatiable appetite or both. It's due to genetics. Your genetics might actually have a bigger role in obesity than you think. Which means you wouldn't be able to use your willpower alone. You'd have to take advantage of something. Here we are. This part finished. There are people out there who oppose the fat acceptance movement over health concerns. Let me tell you the truth. It's not entirely the overweight patient's fault that they are overweight. It's not entirely their fault. They're not entirely at fault. It goes beyond their desire to eat. It actually goes beyond their desire to eat. It goes beyond trying to limit the visibility of food and restricting the availability of food. It takes more than just that to curb the epidemic. Because there is such a thing as normal weight obesity too. Despite government efforts to try to curb the epidemic of obesity, obesity rates just keep on rising, despite government efforts. Now we might know why. What's causing that? That rise of obesity despite government efforts. It has less to do with what we're eating and more to do with air pollution. With what we're breathing into our lungs. It has more to do with what we're breathing into our lungs. It has more to do with what we are breathing into our lungs. truth is, within the obesity epidemic, it has less... We always thought it was what we're eating and how much we're eating. It's not about that anymore. Because there are skinny guys that eat like a pig. There are some skinny guys out there that eat like a pig. Your tongue sensitivity might actually depend on your nutritional requirements. You can't just go out and hector a fat person to get them to lose weight. You can't do that. Because some of them just can't help it. Some of them just cannot help it. Not because they have a lack of willpower, but because they have a medical condition that can cause it too. That can cause it. Like PWS. Those with Prader-Willi syndrome left to their own devices could literally eat themselves to death. Which means lock up all the food if you have a member of your household that has PWS. If you want your child with PWS to be able to exercise, start giving them growth hormone. Because their hypotonia is so bad they cannot even get up off the floor without assistance. They have poor muscle tone, which is why they're often, at birth, they're often floppy. Hence the nickname of hypotonia, floppy baby syndrome. Let's see what's in there. That's an oven Unterwasser. You know, the truth about obesity is it's more about what you're breathing in, like the quality of the air you're breathing. Because scientists in China discovered some obese rats near industrial areas, and they compared it to the suburban areas of China. They discovered that the suburban sewer rats were not only a lot skinnier, but also a lot healthier. That's probably the first link between air pollution and obesity. How is it that air pollution is contributing to the epidemic? For one thing, it affects the nutritional quality of our... It might affect the nutritional quality of our food. Which means that even children in developing countries might actually end up getting fatter. Even fatter. Even though they're already poor. Even though they're not getting enough nutrition as it is. your nutrition might actually play a role. How does sugar make you fat? No matter how much you eat, sugar you eat, your body will always store some of it as fat, no matter how much you actually eat. Why? Your metabolic rate is directly correlated to the amount of sugar you consume. Which is why those who eat less often have a slower metabolism. The reason your body has to store some fat, your body's trying to ensure that your bones don't deteriorate. Every animal that has a skeleton, believe it or not, has to have some fat. Because of a nutrient they need, called vitamin D. Nutrient that they need that is only soluble in fat. Which means that if your fat percentage gets too low, your bones are going to become it's a guarantee your bones could become extremely brittle. It's a guarantee that your bones could become very brittle. Want to know what's worse than having hypotonia? Having poor muscle tone and low bone mass. Because it'll make it even harder for you to exercise if your bones are really brittle. If your bones are already brittle, you shouldn't be exercising. Because it doesn't just depend on muscle mass. Like what fitness people want you to believe. What most of us want you to believe. Bone mass plays a role too. Which if you're... One sign that your fat percentage is too low is you're still losing weight despite eating the same amount of food. That is because you're losing bone mass as a result of not being able to absorb vitamin D properly. It's actually your body calling you to store more fat. Consume more foods that turn into fat. It's your body calling you on you to store more fat. This is to make sure your bones don't become brittle. Having brittle bones will make it hard for you to do literally anything. Yes, this includes exercise. As well as other issues. Because if you want to be able to lift very heavy weights, not only you need good strength in your muscles, but you need strong bones too. If your bones are weak and brittle, you definitely should stay the hell away from exercise if your bones are brittle. Even if you're on steroids, because there's a chance your bones could actually fracture during a workout. The height of each floor would be about 15 feet high. Or, like, more closer to 5 meters. The problem with forcing people to have short hair could be something related to religious freedom. And sometimes your religion kind of requires you to have long hair. Anyways, this is Gaming with Alston signing off. Stay tuned for part 5 of Futuristic Mansion. As always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. I encourage you to support me on Patreon and follow me on social media like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook for more content. And as always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. Gaming with Alston signing off, and choose.